The courtroom was silent, every tick of the clock echoing like a heartbeat. He sat at the defendant's table, hands clasped, eyes fixed on the polished floor. The divorce hearing was supposed to be just a formality, a painful end to a story already written. But when the door opened and the lawyer walked in, his heart stopped. It wasn't just any lawyer, it was her, the woman he had once promised forever, the woman who vanished 7 years ago without a word. His chest tightened, breath uneven as memories came rushing back. Her laughter, her tears, the note she left behind. But what shattered him completely were the 2 children standing quietly behind her. Their eyes, his eyes, their smile, the same one his mother once said made hearts melt. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. Every part of him screamed to deny it, yet the truth was written on their faces. The room blurred around him, voices fading into nothing. Why hadn't she told him? Why now, after all these years? His lawyer nudged him to stand, but he barely heard the words being spoken. All he could see were the twins, 2 little strangers who carried his face, his blood, his unanswered past. And when her gaze finally met his, filled with fear and sorrow, he knew this wasn't just a hearing. It was the moment his whole life was about to change. The sound of her voice pulled him back to reality. Calm, professional, distant, so unlike the warmth he remembered. "Mr. Reed," she said, not daring to look directly at him, "we'll begin with the property division." Every word felt like a blade, slicing through years of silence. He tried to focus, but his gaze drifted again to the children sitting quietly at the back of the courtroom. The little boy tapped his shoe nervously, and the girl clutched a small stuffed bear as if it was her shield. He wanted to stand to ask who they were, but fear held him still. The judge's voice sounded far away, drowned beneath the storm in his chest. When the session adjourned for a short break, he finally found the courage to speak. "Evelyn," he whispered, stepping closer. She froze, her pen hovering midair. "Why didn't you tell me?" Her eyes flickered, betraying the calm mask she wore. "It wasn't the right time," she murmured. "Not the right time?" His voice cracked with disbelief. 7 years, Evelyn." She turned away, blinking fast. "I did what I thought was best." Before he could say more, the children looked up, and the boy's quiet question broke the air. "Mom, is he the man from your pictures?" His heart stopped again. The little girl followed, her voice trembling. "You said our dad had kind eyes." Silence fell. Evelyn's lips parted, but no words came. And in that fragile pause, the truth filled the room like a storm that had been waiting to break. For the first time in years, he didn't care about the whispers, the curious stares, or the judge calling order. All that mattered were those 2 small faces looking at him as if trying to recognize something long lost. The boy's eyes searched his with a mix of wonder and confusion, while the girl tilted her head, studying him silently. He wanted to speak, to say something, anything, but words failed him. His heart beat so fast it hurt. Evelyn stood frozen between them, torn between fear and guilt. "Please," she whispered, "not here." But it was too late. The moment had cracked open a secret she could no longer hide. During the recess, she walked out of the courtroom, and he followed her down the marble corridor. "You owed me the truth," he said quietly, voice trembling. She stopped near the window where sunlight poured in, painting dust particles in gold. "I tried to protect them," she murmured. "From what? From their father?" he asked, his voice breaking. "No," she said softly, turning to face him. "From the man you used to be." The words struck deeper than she knew. He remembered the fights, the long nights at work, the anger he carried like armor. But 7 years had changed him. "I'm not that man anymore," he said, his voice low but steady. She looked at him then, really looked, and for a brief moment he saw a flicker of the woman who once believed in him. But before he could reach her, one of the twins called, "Mom," and the moment was gone. That night he couldn't sleep. The echo of the courtroom replayed in his head like a haunting melody he couldn't escape. The way she said his name, the way the twins looked at him. It all clung to him like a weight he couldn't lift. He sat by the window staring at the city lights, wondering how many years he'd lost because of pride, misunderstanding, and silence. Every success suddenly felt meaningless. What good was wealth when the most precious part of his life had grown up without him? He opened an old box buried deep in his drawer, filled with photographs and a single ring he never had the courage to throw away. He traced his finger over her face in one picture, her laughter frozen in time. "Evelyn," he whispered into the dark, "why didn't you trust me?" The next morning he made a decision that even surprised himself. He showed up outside their modest home, holding a bouquet of daisies, the flowers she used to love. When the door opened, the little boy blinked up at him. "Are you really our dad?" he asked innocently. His throat tightened. "I hope I can be," he said softly. Evelyn appeared behind them, shock flashing across her face. "What are you doing here?" He met her gaze with quiet determination. "Making up for 7 years I can never get back." Her lips parted, but no words came. Behind her, the twins smiled shyly, and for the first time, hope flickered where pain had once lived. The days that followed felt like walking on fragile glass, every moment delicate but precious. He began visiting often, never uninvited, always uncertain, but each time the twins seemed to warm to him a little more. The boy asked endless questions about his work, his travels, his favorite food. The girl would draw pictures of their family and secretly slip them into his jacket pocket before he left. Each small gesture stitched something inside him that had long been torn apart. Evelyn kept her distance at first, always watching, cautious. But there were moments, brief, unguarded ones, when he caught her smiling as she watched their children laugh with him. It was in those glimpses that he saw the woman he once knew, the one who believed in love even when life was unkind. One evening, as they stood on the porch, he finally said what had been burning inside him for weeks. "I don't expect forgiveness overnight," he began, "but I want to be here. For them, and maybe someday for you." She didn't answer at first. Instead, she looked at the twins chasing fireflies in the yard, their laughter filling the air. "They've waited a long time for their father," she said quietly. "Don't make promises you can't keep." He took a deep breath. "Then I'll prove it." The glow from the porch light caught her eyes, and for a moment, she looked at him not with anger, but with something dangerously close to hope. Months passed, and the walls between them slowly began to crumble. The twins now ran to him every time he arrived, their laughter echoing through the small garden. He helped with homework, fixed broken toys, and told bedtime stories until they fell asleep beside him on the couch. Sometimes when he looked at them, so full of life, so innocent, he wondered how he'd ever lived without them. Evelyn watched quietly from the doorway, her heart torn between fear and longing. She'd built her world on survival, protecting her children from the pain she once felt. But seeing him now, patient, kind, and humbled, she realized he wasn't the man she'd left behind. He'd changed, and maybe she had too. One evening, rain fell softly outside as they sat by the fire. The twins had just gone to bed when he turned to her. "You once said I wasn't ready to be a father," he said gently. "You were right, but I am now." She met his gaze, tears shimmering in her eyes. "They adore you," she whispered. "And I Her voice faltered. I never stopped wishing things had been different. He reached out not with promises but with sincerity. Maybe it's not too late to make them right. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she smiled, faint but real. Maybe it isn't. Outside, thunder rolled softly, but inside that small home, peace had finally found them. A family once broken, now learning how to heal together.